What was it called again? Just so I'm not joking, because
We're rolling.
I know.
It's the weekly relapse.
That's right. A weekly relapse. So hey, folks, welcome to another episode of the weekly relapse.
Nailed it.
That's it.
Yeah,
That's
say your name.
My name's Dr. Brian King, and I'm the guest.
I love this. All right, intro song.
You are listening to the Weekly Relapse with your host, Skylar Potter.
The day is done.
Let's party, junkies.
It's good for your soul. Every now and then it's lose control. So please don't be scared. Come and dance if you dare.
What's going on, junkies? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Weekly Relapse. Dr. Brian King, dude, what's up, buddy?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it,
It's
man.
cool that you were rolling through town. We had a show booked together.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it had fallen through, but that wasn't until July anyway.
That's been my life lately, man. I've had so many gigs canceled on me recently. I think
That's the worst
I need to
feeling.
stop calling myself a comedian. No, really. It's like I'm just a guy that travels from town to town and gets told, "Sorry, we're not doing a show."
Oh, yeah, like that's like the worst feeling, like especially when you're pumped up for it, and it's like the day of. You're like, hell yeah, we're going. Like it happened to me in Plainview once.
Yeah,
Showed up in Plainview. It's only an hour away. It wasn't too much driving, but get there ready to kill.
Still, it's an hour drive, and you're all psyched and everything. I mean,
The hour
at
back
least
seemed forever.
They at least save you the time, you know.
You got my number. Shoot me a text.
No,
man.
I've recently had a whole tour of pretty cool gigs canceled on me. So when you said that we can't do this show in Amarillo, I'm like, yeah, whatevs.
I was actually gonna cancel.
Oh,
I was
it's all
hoping.
good.
Fingers crossed. This
like
is the one.
Like you're like the last show on the entire tour that I still had booked, and so it's like, all right, so I leave Los Angeles. I got to stop in Amarillo for this. So it's like it's a relief to know that I'm not going to be here in a couple of months.
Yeah, unfortunately, the venue fell through. Yeah, and then it's going to be in July. You don't want to be here in July.
No, I don't want to be anywhere in July. Really, I die actually.
We should
in
just
June.
skip July.
Yeah, I go into like a coma for a couple months. I'm not a summer person, man. You can tell by my body. I'm not a summer man.
I don't like the heat, man. And then here it's windy as hell.
And you're thin too. Imagine like carrying around 2 extra dudes on you. You know, like it's like, oh my god, it's like these, and you can't get them off of you. You know, it's like,
It's the
I'm
worst.
sweating under these guys,
Dude, like in Amarillo, because it's so fucking windy.
Yeah.
There's no the air's not coming off a mountain. It's not coming off it's just coming off pavement. So it's like hot wind on top of like a hot day. It's the worst being outside.
It's funny you mentioned the wind right away, because I was just thinking about this on my way up here. I have never been able to take a good photo of myself in Amarillo. Not once.
I don't see how people play golf.
My hair is always doing something stupid, or my hat's flowing off, or I'm trying to hold my, there's never been a moment where I've not experienced like incredible winds in this town.
I find myself all the time asking like people around me like, why did people stop here?
Yeah.
Like I don't understand. They're like,
it was clearly
it's hot, it's windy. It had to be like fall, and then like the one cool day in fall.
It was like it was nice. There were Indians shooting at us. There was it was like, why would you move
There's
here?
no water. There's nothing. We made our own lake.
It's amazing that there's anybody living anywhere in northern Texas. Actually, like I was, I just got back from Dallas, and Dallas is like a giant, DF Dubs. What's it like? 5 million people metro now.
I have no idea. But
So
those huge highways scared the hell out of me.
Yeah, no source of water. Like it makes no sense. Austin has a river. San Antonio has a river. Houston's on the coast. But Dallas, it makes no sense why you would have a city that big. It only makes sense in the modern world where you can like put water on a truck.
What's crazy to me is I will tell people I've never seen the ocean, and only people from Amarillo are like, yeah, I haven't either.
Yeah, no.
Everybody else is like, what the hell, man? Get out there. What do you do? At least go see it.
Dude, at least you're not in Lubbock. That's like the one thing. Amarillo's kind of a weird place because I don't know. Do you guys feel like you're part of Texas living here? I mean, I know you got the boots and the logo.
Yeah,
and
kind of. Yes and no. I mean, I've lived here. I was born in Illinois, but rushed here as a child,
Yeah.
and I grew up here. So it's not weird to me. I think of us as Texas, but people have a weird
Yeah.
a view of like you'll be on Xbox Live, dude, playing the newest game that came out that day
Mm-hmm.
with people on the other side of the country, and they're like, "Where you from?" You're like, "I'm from Texas." They're like, "Oh, dude, I heard you ride horses." It's like, yeah, we
Yeah.
have Microsoft made it, but Ford hasn't made it down here yet.
No, those people are stupid. That's
And
all there is.
that's like they
Yeah.
just watch TV and go, "That's real."
Like they don't. Well, but the thing is that with me, it's like so. I don't. You don't know this about me, but I used to live in Texas. I went to college in Austin, and I actually went to college. I was at UT, and I left Texas right before Austin became like a big deal. You know, it was like
I love going to Austin.
it's a great
but it's the
town.
only
It's
other
like I
than
love it.
Denver, it's the only cool place I've ever been.
People really talk about Austin like it's great, but what I'm getting at though is I love Texas and I know Texas. You know what I mean? And for me, and everybody, if you look population wise, the entire state of the entire population of Texas lives between like Dallas, Houston, San Antonio. You
Yeah.
know, it's like so. I've always there are other states that have like a dominant area, but they're not so disconnected from the other places. Like Amarillo isn't even attached to the rest of Texas by an interstate. You know,
Yeah,
like you can't.
I don't get it either.
I don't, and like El Paso is like that might as well be part of a different state. You know, it seems like there's such a disconnect between like the cultures. You know, and
What's
so-
crazy to me is that the way we grew up.
Mm-hmm.
So when I go somewhere like Denver was like a culture shock for me, simply on the fact of how people would react to certain things like gun control debates are vastly
Yeah.
different there, and I'm not necessarily a gun guy, but I grew up in Texas where they're around,
You
and I'm
can't-
not uncomfortable around them. I just don't own my own,
Sure.
or I don't need one, or like if I have one, I'll sell, like whatever it is. Like
Yeah,
I just don't feel the need to be a gun
Well,
guy.
if you need a gun, you could go down to the
Any pawn shop, any pawn shop.
I was trying to make a joke there, but it wasn't coming out. That was no, and also I'm just
Well, you've been on the road all day.
I'm tired, man.
Yeah.
I'm doing this podcast under duress, just so your audience knows, in case I suck.
It's been great so far.
I'm doing this podcast. I just drove like 9 hours from Dallas, which is normally a 6-hour drive, like 5.5 really. But I have a little baby. I have a 1-year-old baby, and she was sick today, and like 3 or 4 times on the road, just vomited all over, and so we
Yeah,
had to
stop, clean up,
clean up, and then console her, And
Yeah.
we were actually she got hungry and was crying, and so we pulled over on the side of the road so that she can get some boob action, and so. Which is the only action I ever get is watching my baby. Oh yeah, he sucked them boobs, kid. I'm like, oh wait a minute, that's my baby. That's gross. No, but my so my baby is nursing, and a cop pulls up behind us to see if
Yeah.
anything's wrong. That was like the highlight of my day was having a cop knock on the window of a car and see my girlfriend's boobs. That was
You're like,
thrilling.
Hey, officer.
Like, hey, clearly we're okay, officer. All
Yeah,
right?
you can go away
yeah.
now. 20 minutes is too long.
Exactly.
20 minutes is way too
He's-
long.
I thought he was writing a ticket. He was taking a sketch.
Yeah, right. He was giving her his phone number.
He's
Hit me
like
up if you need anything.
Yeah, he's like, can I get a selfie with you guys?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the one that's on the Amber Alert right now, right? That's why I pulled you over. Like we were already pulled over. Like,
Yeah. It took me a while to get here, which is and so yeah, I'm a little tired. And I would be doing this podcast with Sarah. 'Cause
Yeah.
she's my. Sarah's not a comedian, but she's my partner.
well,
in
you're
crime.
not just a comedian. You're also a writer. You have a book.
Exactly. Yeah.
You do seminar. Explain to me, and this is what I was really curious about
Sure.
was the seminars. I'm very interested,
So-
and your book because from what I could tell, it's mostly about like how humor matters.
Yeah, and it does matter, and I
It
try to
super
tell
does.
people that. So about 10 years ago or so, I became a comedian.
Okay.
About like a year or two deep into that, I got a phone call one day, and I guess I should also add I have a degree in psychology. You called me doctor when you introduced me.
Yes.
Just that's real.
Yeah.
I am a doctor, and so.
Psychology?
Yeah, psychology. So a couple.
I'm so interested
I
in that.
started doing stand-up comedy. A couple years later, I got a call. This guy is like, "Hey, I heard you're a psychologist who also does stand-up comedy." I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I have an interesting proposition for you, and would you be interested in being a public speaker? You have the credentials, you have the knowledge, and as a comedian, I'm sure you can make things funny for people and
You
entertaining.
can keep their attention. You know how to work a
Exactly.
crowd.
And I thought about it at the time. I was unemployed, and I was making like open mic money, which is none.
Yeah,
And,
I'm aware.
yeah, and so I didn't. I mean, it really didn't take me any time at all to answer yes, and that changed my life. And so for the past 8 years or so, I forget what I said, for 2 years, 10 years, whatever. But I started comedy 2 years later. Yeah, so the past 8 years or so,
Yeah.
I've been touring the country as a public speaker. I do comedy. I maintain comedy, but comedy doesn't pay the bills like my public speaking gigs do.
Correct.
You know?
Right. I can completely understand
And
that.
so, for a long time, I'll do a speaking gig during the day, and then if I can book it, a comedy show at night, or
So how do you go about getting these speaking gigs? Like, what exactly?
So
I mean,
the
you
guy-
don't like. I don't want to
I
give
don't-
away any secrets.
Yeah,
or-
no, there's no secrets. But the I don't want to mention the company by name because
Okay, that's fair.
They're sort of a behind. They don't want to associate with my comedy
I can
stuff.
fully
you know
understand.
What I mean?
Yeah.
But they use the fact that I'm a comedian to promote me, but it wouldn't be fair to them. People hear me tell a dick joke and then look them up. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So,
No, I fully.
but they book me. They have been booking me. They book me really well. And
That's
so,
awesome, man.
So they at this city, and so forth.
Is that what inspired you to start writing? Like, to write a book?
It came about as a result of that. So I'm touring the country, telling people how to be happy, how to be healthy, how to manage stress, doing research on how humor relates to all that, and then the book kind of came out of that. And so a couple years ago, this is probably the coolest thing. I get a lot of lucky breaks, by the way. I mentioned a guy just called me out of the blue and said, "Would you like to be a public
That's
speaker?"
awesome, though. Like, that's really. I mean,
you never know. You never know who's gonna follow up or contact you. So a couple years ago, I was doing one of my seminar gigs, and a guy in my audience came up to me during the break and said, "Hey, I'm a literary agent, and we heard about you, and I've been scouting you to see if you would be a good person to write a book for us. And do you have any ideas on writing a book?"
man, you get Oprah to slap a sticker on this motherfucker.
know.
We got a movie.
Oh man, let me tell you, and so that was probably the last lucky break I got.
No, man, you got one today.
recently.
You're doing my podcast.
That's right.
Just kidding.
Woohoo!
This is
I'm
gonna,
in
this is
Amarillo.
gonna change everything. Drinking
I'm in-
Keystone Light.
I'm in Amarillo drinking a cheap beer, which is my first beer in like a couple of months, so it tastes amazing.
I
actually.
don't know. I like Keystone because I can drink a bunch of them and stay hydrated.
I like it because it tastes like the can.
Yeah.
Which is you ever have Steel Reserve?
I unfortunately have had a few nights where I felt necessary to partake with Still Reserve.
I feel like
or
Steel
juice.
Reserve. Yeah.
Dude, I drank 2 of those. Woke up in jail.
That's not a good plan. Yeah. That's
Spray painted my own apartment.
That's awesome.
Not bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, I swear.
Wow.
I was 18.
Well, no.
Probably that's why you can't drink till you're 21. It all made sense in that moment.
That's the reason. That you are the reason for that law.
No, I'm not personally, but like I was like
Yep.
looking at my mom, going, "I get it now. Like I fully understand why I'm not supposed to have this yet."
I was telling you this off microphone. I have a kid, and when I first found out my girlfriend and I were pregnant, that I stopped drinking because she stopped drinking.
Right.
And it's not like I gave it up, but I didn't have anybody to drink with, And
Oh,
so
no, man, I get it. The nights my girlfriend
Yeah.
doesn't want to have a beer with me, I'm like, well, so what? I can need to be.
Yeah.
It's weird to play Rocket League and drink alone.
Yeah,
like that's
like
not
you
a
wanna
good
be,
look.
You want to be that person that's just like, I'm gonna get you're driving, baby.
Like if I was Instagram living my night, like that's not what
Yeah,
people like.
yeah.
I don't want the bunch of sad faces popping up on Facebook Live. You know what I mean?
I don't know how long it takes for your tolerance to go down, but boy, man, like now it's like I'll drink like one beer a month, It's but I do appreciate it, so thanks, man.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely.
Even the Keystone Light. So yeah, I turned into an author. I still tour the country doing these speaking gigs whenever possible. This particular, so we started off talking about I've had tours canceled on me all over the place.
All over the place.
And this tour, this year has been weird for me because in the beginning of the year I found out that I wasn't going to be speaking for that company anymore. or at least they didn't have anything for me this particular season.
Right.
Which it stinks because I usually earn like all my money in a few months, you know. And
Right.
so in those few months that I usually earn, I haven't been working. So then I had to figure out like, okay, well, where else can I speak or what can I do, whatever. So I've been booking random gigs here and there. Then I had a comedy tour that was based on the Route 66.
Yeah, the entirety of the.
Yeah, and we were the whole idea and the whole concept was that we were going to do comedy across Route 66 from L.A. to Chicago, Chicago to L.A., whatever direction we took. I met some Australians when I was touring Australia a couple years ago, and then they...
Man, how was that?
it was cool.
Well, I
it was
bet,
cool.
man.
And boring. Way boring, man.
Man, I love how everybody says, like, even the news anchors, like, so your mate was over. Like,
Yeah.
Everybody. And
It's the word mate.
it's so wacky.
It's no strange. It's amazing to me that they waited so long to legalize gay marriage. I thought they were all gay. They're mates. Hey, it's my mate right here.
Yeah,
you know?
it's crazy. Like, I watch,
Yeah.
I love news bloopers, and a lot of them come from Australia.
Yeah, like I literally have a mate, and she's in my hotel room right now with my offspring. Like
Yeah.
the literal meaning of the word mate.
But there's this dude I saw. The news was interviewing him. Like some car had hit the building next to him, and he's explaining that that's his buddy, his mate. He's like, that's my mate's building.
Yeah, that same clip. I've seen that. He's like got missing some teeth. And
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
like, talking about his weight. I
like-
was walking. I ran after him in my undies.
Yeah,
you know?
I was like, I only had me jocks on.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that's like that guy. I wanted to like have a beer with him afterwards, though. He
That's
was-
that's the prime minister
Yeah.
of Australia. That's who
He's the
that
guy
is.
who runs the whole thing.
That guy, he's like their version of Donald Trump.
Because they
you know?
asked him, they were like, "Did you expect any prize money or anything?" He's like, "Yeah, a
Yeah.
handshake from my mate, and I got it this morning." I was like, "Dude, this guy's the best."
I know. Australians are super cool. Like I'll say this about Australia: I love the people of Australia, but if you have toured the country of Australia, you better be taking a plane from place to place.
Is that
you know?
that's what was boring about it?
Yeah. Like you know how Texas is kind of boring in parts. You know, like
Yes.
Dallas to
Just
Amarillo.
here to Colorado sucks.
Oh yeah, it's
like
terrible.
4 hours, 6 hours, 5 hours.
But at least you still get to pass through like small towns. You know what I mean? Like there's still like some evidence that people exist, you know? In Australia, you will go literally like 5-6 hours without seeing a single other person.
Like,
you know?
is there like random gas stations, or they're like, you better bring some with you?
So you should bring some with you, but the Australian government has sponsored these people to set up roadhouses, and so like there's like you're a family, you want to own a roadhouse, they say, okay, you're gonna be right here. It's like 300 miles from this other roadhouse.
Dude,
So
how do you
yeah, you
get
got
groceries?
They got like solar panels and they, I don't know, they probably have it shipped in. There's like a truck that goes to all the roadhouses, but. My point is that you do not pass up a roadhouse.
Yeah.
Because, in the United States, it's like you pass a gas station, there'll be another one 50
Maybe.
miles.
Just on my way back from Colorado, we fucked up. We passed two of
But
them.
seriously,
kept going.
you don't get rural like Australia, man.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
it is like crazy rural. And then there are wild animals all over the place that you'll hit run your car into. And you're driving on the left. So you got all these crazy things, It's it's nuts. But I loved it. So these people in Australia, these comedians, they're hooked in with the government there, and they
What a different world.
It really is. The comedians in Australia and Canada, and that's all I know about, but I'm sure England as well. They get so much. They get money to perform comedy. They get.
Could you imagine if
sponsored.
our country respected art
that
wasn't mumble rap?
Yeah, no, mumble rap. It's the worst genre of music.
It's terrible. And I find underground artists, and I usually play them throughout. Like at the end of the podcast, I usually play a song by one of them that are so much better and far more talented than these kids.
I remember watching a video recently. It was this guy. He calls himself Lil Thug or something like that, or like. I don't know, but he's just is mumbling through it. You can barely hear him. He sounds like he's eating while he's rapping, and
Xanax is a
and he's in
motherfucker.
front of a plane. He's got limos and girls. I'm just like, how is that?
The studio provided all of it.
Yeah, maybe. But anyway, so
called production costs.
So they're tied in with the government, and they got a grant to come to the United States and do a tour, and they were going to pay for my Route 66 tour.
That would have been.
So I was going to get not only was I going to collect money at the gigs and sell my book and the normal stuff, the way we try to make a living.
By the
here.
way, where can people get your book? Let's go ahead and shout it out right now because
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, online. Buy it directly from me. I get the most profit if people buy it from me. Actually. Amazon is like I love that people are buying my book, but I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll get that.
I'll mail it to you.
I'll get that royalty check for 50 cents. You know, it's like. And my book is called The Laughing Cure, and it's as you mentioned, it's the health, the reason why laughter matters. So I was in Australia promoting it, which is where I met these people. The government, because of who I am, my speaking, my writing, and so forth, they were like, "Oh, well, you'd be the perfect person to show these, Aussie comedians how to be comedians and tour the United States." And they were gonna pay for everything, man. It was gonna be awesome. It was gonna be so super cool. And that got canceled right after my other gigs got canceled. And then
I just canceled you,
and then
man.
I show up here, and you're like, "Hey, Brian, let me just take that knife and twist it, man."
But luckily, I pulled it out, so it feels a little better. That was the last stab,
There you go. There you go. Now I just got to sit and bleed out.
Yeah.
Amazing. I'm on the tours got canceled diet. That's what I'm on now. I'm like,
You're looking good, man. You're looking good.
Thanks. I appreciate it. Emaciation. It does. That's why I'm like, I need these calories in this beer.
You're like, I haven't eaten in a month.
That's right. He's like, I'll just have a water. Wait a minute. There's like 150 calories in a can of beer. Better bring the beer, man.
So you meet these comedians. Is there a possibility of it getting kicked back up? Was it just like scheduling errors or anything like that?
It is a possibility, although I do think that when you cancel on like a whole tour full of gigs, the likelihood of being able to recreate that lineup of gigs is going to be
especially
tough,
throughout because you have to hit specific venues because you're doing it on Route 66.
So if we do something with them, and it's possible. What happened was that the woman got sick. The woman got I'm working with. And so,
that's unfortunate.
So when she gets better, there's still possibility for money. There's still another tour, but it's not going to be Route 66. It's going to be whatever.
Straight to Amarillo.
Yeah. That's it. Let's just do the Amarillo Lubbock tour.
Dude. Dude.
I would love to just go back and forth between Amarillo and Lubbock like 100 times.
You could play every venue like 50 times each place.
We pack in some Odessa and some Midland in there.
You've been to Lubbock?
Dude, I've been everywhere.
Yeah,
yeah. That's the thing about touring for 10 years.
Other than Australia, you went to Australia, Canada. So what's your favorite place that you've been? Like, just had the most fun. It was just a great.
I'll be honest with you. My favorite place in the world right now is Montreal, Canada.
No way.
Yeah, and I love it so much. I bought a condo there last year.
Wow.
I figured, it's like I have I'm touring all the time, but then when I'm off, I could be in Canada, hanging out in my favorite city. That hasn't even worked out. I bought this condo 2 days later. We left Canada. We were on tour and we were going around. And
the universe is trying to get you to kick it there for a little bit. That's why I canceled everything.
Instead of wasting money on an empty condo, we decided to rent it out. So I got people living in the condo that I own. Meanwhile, my girlfriend and I are homeless.
You should have set it up as an Airbnb.
I know.
That way you could.
We had to furnish it and get the Wi-Fi and stuff. Like literally, we closed on it 2 days before we left Canada.
I only have one Airbnb experience, and we didn't end up staying there at all. It was just a couple months ago. We get to Denver, and we're gonna stay in Denver, go to Fort Collins, and I stayed at Erdman's house actually.
Oh yeah.
So we set up this Airbnb. We were like, dude, $30, hell yeah! We book it. Didn't read anything about it. We knock on the door, which I guess was weird. You're supposed to just walk in, and so it's already not going great. And then the guy's looking at us. We have all of our bags and stuff. He's like, you guys read it, right? And we're like, yeah. He's like, you read the whole description? We're like, yeah, we read it.
What?
And he's like, you booked the common room, right? And there's like 13 people staying here, and you can't go to bed until they go to bed. And when they wake up, you have to wake up. And we're like, yeah, dude, we read all that. He was like, okay. And he walked away, and we stood there for 5 minutes. We're like, we should put our stuff in the car.
Whoa.
Put our bags in the car, sat in the car, and
so
then
you
just
booked
left.
the living room, and the rule was that you couldn't sleep until
everybody, because we couldn't just crash.
That's terrible.
So we just went to a hostel downtown Denver.
Oh man,
And
that
just
is
booked that room.
That is awful, man.
I actually really enjoyed the hostel. It was like, I don't know if I would do it again. Like, it was like we shared, like, the bathroom was down the hall.
I will say that that your experience with Airbnb is probably not Airbnb's fault.
Oh, no. It was 100%
Yeah.
ours. It was 100% ours.
I just want to be clear because I use Airbnb a lot.
No,
and,
we
yeah.
didn't know. And, like, my friend was even like, the guy who booked it, my buddy Matt Villegas, he goes,
Uh-huh.
well, that's what I get for being like, check out my app.
Hey,
You know what I mean?
I just added Matt on Facebook.
Dude, he's one of my favorite comics in
Yeah.
Amarillo right now, dude.
Nice.
Comedy's
there's only
finally
like-
starting to blow up.
There's only like 2 of you in Amarillo, though, right?
Up until recently, yes.
Oh, really? I
Yeah.
was joking.
No
I don't
shit.
know.
The first year and a half that I did it, there was
Says here that
4 comics.
Says here that Matt used to be a personal banker. That's on his Facebook profile, and a former marketing assistant. He's got lots of photos of him holding microphones, so you know he's legit.
You know he's legit.
Yeah.
He's by far, like, he drove me to Denver to do a gig,
That's-
and we just found him an open mic. He's driving me to Austin to do a gig
Oh,
because
wow.
my girlfriend
That's
has to be at a wedding, and we're gonna find him some open
What
mics
day are you
like
gonna be in Austin?
July 6th.
You know, no, never mind.
It's gonna be really hot.
Yeah, you should go down for the 4th of July. I don't remember. I don't know if Willie Nelson is still alive, but he used to. I honestly don't know that.
I honestly,
you know,
when
I
you said
feel
that,
like-
I couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm
I feel
50-50.
I feel like he's the kind of guy that could have died recently. You know what I mean? He's that old.
And we just didn't.
But anyways, Willie used to always, when I lived in Austin, and even when I didn't, he used to always put on like the most raginest 4th of July party downtown. And all right, I'm looking him up. Wikipedia says he's still alive. Okay,
Boom.
all right.
There we go.
I'm sorry, Willie.
My boy Willie, you're still out there kicking.
If you're listening, Willie, and I know you are because this podcast is popular.
Dude, it gets billions, man.
I'm so sorry, Willie, that I might have suspected you were dead. But let's be honest, you were born in 19.
Oh shit, he's calling me right now. I don't know how he heard this. This isn't live, but he's mad at you.
He's 85 years old. He's born in Abbott, Texas.
Let's make him the next president, man.
Oh,
It's already
man.
a joke. Let's put someone fun in there.
Dude, you know, you don't think Trump is fun?
Oh, I think it's it's fun.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man.
let's have a different type of fun. Not
I
like
feel
we're
like-
laughing at it fun, but
So
we're like proud of it
I
fun.
I know way too many people who are depressed and anxious about our current president.
I've had to give up.
And I just
Caring.
feel like, just like, it'll be over. A couple of years later, it'll be over,
I think it was good to like really let everyone know how big of a joke the presidency can be.
Yeah.
I mean that's important but nobody took it the way they should have. They should have been like, wait,
Right.
this is easy. Like he also proved the American dream. Like he's been living the American dream.
Absolutely.
And then anybody can be president.
100%. And that's what I think my biggest take home from Trump's win was just that. Like for so long, it was like we were electing like people who had law degrees.
I could have swore that was one of the things that had
a
to
requirement,
I
right?
thought you had to
Yeah.
hold office somewhere.
Yeah, no.
I remember learning that in school.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I
Yeah.
mean, I was a dumb kid.
35, born in the United States. That's it.
That's it?
Yeah, and like not a felon.
I swear, I thought you had to hold
Yeah.
some form of office.
So, which is
Like whether it be mayor or...
yeah, but why though? Like why? Like what?
I mean, it makes sense
What
that you
office?
don't, but
Yeah.
I just thought, like, you had to have, like, some
but that's
kind of
the thing.
politician
But see, a thought
background.
like that, that's real pervasive. People think that you have to be a lawyer, and people think
Or-
that you have
yeah.
to have, you have to be a military vet. People have these preconceptions about the presidency, and yet a lot of us as we're children are like, hey, you could be anything you want to be. You could be the president. Trump proved that, man. Trump proved
And he
that.
did it, like, as,
Yeah.
like someone was snarky about how he couldn't do it.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
like, man, fuck you. I'll show you what I can do.
Yeah, no, I think it's amazing that he's the president.
They have to make a movie about it.
He's not,
no doubt.
He's not a good president. I don't disagree with everything he's done, but I will say that it just all these accounts of how stupid he is.
I will say, I think Hillary was scarier to me.
I love Bill Clinton, and I really love Bill Clinton, and I would have voted for Hillary just to get Bill back in the office.
He's like a groovy dude.
Yeah, if there weren't term limits, Bill Clinton would be our king right now. I mean, I was like, seriously.
If it wasn't for the social media posts I wouldn't even know the royal wedding was a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And I found out because they posted that picture of like the older, I don't even know who it is, the queen maybe,
No idea.
and she's looking at the bride, and it's like when you're planning a car crash, but you've already used that idea once or something like that. Dude, I was rolling. But
It's funny because it's like, it's this family that apparently is important. I don't know. The entire we looked into citizenship when we were in Canada just because we're obnoxious.
to become like dual citizens.
Yeah, well, technically the
Can you
United
live there as not a citizen?
Yeah, you can. You have to get like,
a green card or-
like permits and residence and stuff like that. But what we were looking into was citizenship because we were like just curious. And in order to become a citizen of Canada, you have to take an oath, among other things. But you have to take an oath to the Queen because that's like that's
Canada has a queen?
the Queen of England is the Queen of Canada.
I did not know that.
You didn't know that?
Dude, I'm an idiot.
No. Well,
I got kicked out of high school. Like I didn't.
I dropped out of high school.
I got kicked out for saying the F word when I was 18, 6 weeks before I was going to graduate.
Wow.
Teacher had my cell phone. They were telling me my mom had to come pick it up. I was like, I'm 18. I live on my own. My boss calls me for work. I was like, give me my fucking phone back. Got me kicked out of the secondary school I was in and the main high school I was in.
That is Texas.
Yeah, right?
No, I actually
You can carry a samurai sword down the street, but you can't say fucking school.
I actually dropped out of high school about maybe.
And still became a doctor.
Yeah, a couple months, maybe about a couple months before I was supposed to graduate. I hated high school. And
Do you disagree with public school system, like how they go about it?
I don't like the way our school system operates. So when I realized I was eligible to drop out of school, the only thing that kept me going was my friends, and so like
I lived on my own and I still showed up at school because that's where my friends were.
I had my own apartment when I was young.
I had an arcade machine in my apartment.
Did you
Dude,
really?
I had a joust, like the full blown joust
that's
machine.
Crazy.
Yeah, and it was on the second story, so it was
Did
heavy.
you have to put quarters in it though?
No, we had it open so you could just
nice,
we
nice.
had competitions every night while we were drinking.
Joust was so hard, man. You had that roller ball.
I was the only kid who was ever like hung over in like second period.
But I really did hate high school, and I went in Texas, which you probably did too.
Yeah.
Which is terrible, because it's like a football thing. It's like and I moved here from New York. I'm a New Yorker originally. And I moved like in the middle of high school, like sophomore year or something like that. I went to a real rural school district outside of Austin, and it was just nothing but kickers and
man.
And I'm like this New Yorker, with this like bad attitude.
I got lucky. I got to go to the closest thing is like a center city school that we have here. I got to go to Tascosa, which is like
nice.
And
you still got kicked out.
Yeah. And I did dude. One time I got 5 weeks of Saturday school for having my hood up as I walked. It was raining outside.
Wow.
And I was just trying to get back to class. Like the bell had already rang, and the principal stopped me, pulled my hood down, took me in the office, and wrote me like it's either 5 or 7 weeks of I had to show up on Saturday and come to school.
It's awful. No.
But I don't like the public school system because I feel like it just it teaches you to be like, don't question authority. Whatever they tell you to do, do it. Be totally fine with wasting the majority of your day doing some shit you don't want for somebody you don't like, and then just that's it. Like, it basically teaches you to be cool with working at Walmart for 40 years.
It really does. So I don't know how accurate this memory is, but this is how I tell people.
I have those all the time.
I remember in my high school, our grades were based on percentages of, so your tests, you would take tests all year long, and your test grades would account for 60 or 70% of your total grade for that semester.
Yeah.
The other part of your grade being homework or something stupid.
And then showing up.
Yeah, and attendance.
Yeah.
Attendance was part of your grade.
Yeah.
So
Dude, if your kid doesn't go to school, they take your ass to court,
I would nail my tests. I mean, I would A's on every single test without studying, without doing homework, which meant I was flunking out of high school. That's ridiculous, And the kids that were college bound would copy off me or ask me for advice. I dropped out. I mean, one of the reasons why I dropped out is because I was so bored and unhappy with high school.
And public school teachers,
awful.
I can't say this for all of them. Some of them, and I actually know one. My girlfriend's stepdad is a teacher here in town, and he actually got like voted like best teacher on his first year. Like he's interesting and he knows how to keep the kids engaged. Like, and he wears like nerdy ties and like he just knows how to do it. But a lot of them don't want to fucking be there, man.
Yeah.
Especially those guys that are coaches first and then geography teachers second.
Right.
I had a golf coach for a geography teacher, man, and he was the biggest douchebag to me.
Yeah, my
Personally, like individually, he would single me out in class, and he had explained a lot of like rich and poor, rich and poor. He'd go, this is the rich, like this is the poor side, this is the rich side. He'd be like, this guy's over here owning his own business, CEO of this company. Meanwhile, Potter, and he's talking about me, he's like selling hot dogs on the corner, getting robbed.
Geez.
I had 100 in that class, bro, and he was
Wow.
still a dick to me. And
Wow.
like I will never forgive Mr. Ripley. That's his
you
name.
You probably already had a beard by then, so it was
Me?
Dude,
I-
that's the thing. You just look like the kind of guy who's going to sell hot dogs. you
Yeah,
know?
dude, it was like I think it's just because I always brought hot dogs to class.
There you go, yeah.
Pocket dogs.
Oh, the little fryer in the back, you know.
You
What's
can't.
one?
Every day it's third period. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait till this is first lunch.
I had.
You want a kraut dog? What do you want?
Man, high school was it's so miserable. The thing is, so I dropped out, but my dad. So the reason why I was in Texas, the reason why I moved to Texas, my dad was in the military.
Oh, word.
And I had a military father. Yeah, there's no way I was going to drop out of high school with him around. Like he was going to. I mean, he would just beat the hell out of me. And so I had this lucky thing happen. It was called the Gulf War. My dad was shipped overseas.
You're like, I'm outta here.
Yeah, next thing,
outta here.
next thing, I'm drop out. And so like he came back. He made it. And so he. I remember one day we were at dinner or something.
He was like, let's watch the tape.
We were at dinner or something one night, and and somebody mentioned something about hey, so Brian, you gonna get your GED? At that point, my dad was just like realized that I had dropped out of high school because he didn't know, and I just the look, the disappointment is, it's okay, I promise, I'm gonna go to college. Like.
When I got my GED, dude, my mom, and it made me feel so terrible for not walking. Like, she, oh, there goes my mic stand.
Yeah.
She gave me a car. She treated it like a graduation. And, it killed me to know that that's how important it was to her, man.
Sure. I actually, so I didn't walk in high school because of the obvious reason. And I decided when I enrolled in college that I wasn't going to walk until I was done. And that meant I wasn't going to walk for any graduation ceremony until I got my PhD.
That's crazy, man.
And I didn't. I didn't walk in Austin. I didn't walk for my master's. Didn't walk for finally walked for my PhD. And oh man, my parents were so proud.
I bet your dad was super pumped.
He was. The thing is that he was military and didn't go to college, and my family, none of them were college bound or went to college, and
right.
So they
that
didn't
was the
understand.
hardest thing, putting that mic stand back on.
It
Sorry,
was.
that
You
was,
did it.
Yeah,
and you did it smooth without a whole lot of interruption. I was trying to go into a little story to cover for you, just in case.
I just wanted, I know it probably picked up a little bit, but that was. I'm kind of impressed.
And nobody really cares about my college stuff, but I was just I was going into that just in case we needed.
I'm
to cover,
impressed by because
know?
I knew by 13, dude, that I was not going to college.
Yeah.
I had no interest. I hated school. I'm sure my home situation didn't help any. Like, my stepdad was batshit crazy. Like, if I didn't have homework, he would open my math book to a random page, make me do it, and he'd go over and check it. I'm dyslexic and don't know how to do that yet. Like, it's at the end of the book.
Right.
It's week 1, bro.
You're checking the beginning.
Yeah. like,
where are the answers at?
yeah, dude. It was. Yeah, it was terrible. But yeah, that's it's impressive that you managed to get your doctorate and you walked and you did all that, especially when you didn't. Like, that proves that you don't have to have a high school diploma in order to be a successful man.
I mean, look at our president.
Did he dodge a war?
Yeah, I don't know what his situation is. That's the thing, nobody knows. And that's what I love about it.
If you could elect anybody, if we're going
nothing
but celebrity presidents after this, who you nominating?
duh, The Rock.
The Rock?
Is there any other choice? I mean, seriously, it's like
Dude, Christopher Walken, man.
Yeah.
Dude, that'd be a fun
so
one.
Walken would not be an action.
I would do
president,
Sam Rockwell.
you know?
I would, but he has to be in character. Like
I think Walken would be good, but the problem with Walken is like you think of him as like the guy from Reservoir Dogs or Pulp Fiction. You know, you think of him as being like this gangster, like who's like but he's a ballet dancer.
But I see him like the gangster from like Joe Dirt.
Yeah, but
He's
still.
talking boy all wrong here.
Like he's a ballet dancer. Like he's when that music video where he danced in,
that was actually a really was it Fat Boy Slim?
Fat Boy Slim. He's a lot of people were like, wow, Walken can dance. No, that's how he got famous.
No way, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was a dancer, So he's just got this weird disposition, his demeanor. That I can't do a Walken impression, but I want to do like Jay Moore doing Walken. That's my impression.
I have this game that my girlfriend and I play, and I think you would be really good at it. So I call it like my Make-A-Wish dinner.
Yeah.
Right? You get 5 seats at a table, and any celebrity that's currently alive can be there, or anybody you think that you want. It could be a politician, whoever. So like you're knocking out 5 as fast as like you have like a minute. Who you inviting?
5 celebrities.
5 celebrities, five people that my audience that people know of.
Salma Hayek.
Not like your homie Tom.
Yeah. So Salma Hayek, because I hear she can cook. No. Somebody's got to do the dishes. No.
We're not going out to eat. Not on my dime.
That's right.
We're having spaghetti at home.
That's right. Who am I into lately? I don't know. The Christina Ricci. I like her. I would pick all chicks because why wouldn't I?
My girlfriend pulled out this classy move one time when we were playing. It was right after Philip Seymour Hoffman died, and she was like, we were playing the game. Like it's usually something we do when we're drinking or something.
I tell you, I would not take like Matthew McConaughey. Even though he'd be a cool guy to hang out with, he would get all the chicks.
See, that's not even it for like, dude. One of mine is Jane Lynch. Mm-hmm. She's gonna be there, but like, and my girlfriend forced me to watch Glee, right? And I hated every second of it, except for when Jane Lynch was on. Dude,
I've never seen Glee, but she is so good.
She wears her character in the show. She's a gym teacher, so she always has like those Adidas track pants on. So like, and it's every outfit.
Wow.
Like, so she has a tuxedo. They have the stripes down the side.
As long as it's hypothetical, can we put some clauses in here? Like,
we can do it.
I want Kathy Griffin, but I want her like 20 years ago.
Mine,
you know what I mean?
I want Jane Lynch, but she has to be in character from Glee.
Yeah, okay.
And but she pulled this classy move where she was like, and there's an empty chair with a little, like the little tent thing, name thing that just said Philip Seymour Hoffman. I was like, man, of course you're gonna pull a G move on that after I said like Brad Pitt and Childish Gambino. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'd take Robin Williams.
Yeah,
definitely.
Dude, if we were going dead celebrities, I'm going like nothing but comics. I'm going Carlin Hicks. Like, dude, I want Pryor. Like, I'm gonna have a conversation with the gods of the industry, and then I'll have Stanhope there to help me out. Like, you know what I mean? Like those 3 and Stanhope.
Nah, he'll get pissed at you for stealing his podcast.
Dude, Stanhope's my favorite.
Oh,
comic.
Rogan was who you said earlier.
I basically ripped
Rogan
off that platform.
Rogan and Stanhope are the same guy. Have you ever seen them together?
On their podcast.
Really? Yeah. He must have had some kind of trick photography. I swear they're the same guy, except for one smokes and one works out.
That was my goal when starting comedy. Was like, I hope this is something that can lead me to meeting one of my heroes. And like, I had 2 heroes in mind. It was 3. I haven't done the third one. It was Tom Segura, Doug Stanhope, and Bill Burr. And I got to meet Tom at one of his shows.
Oh, nice.
But I actually got to hang out backstage with Stanhope, and I took the coolest picture of my life.
Yeah.
It's actually that one right there where he's like he's holding the drink.
Oh,
and I'm taking the drink out of it. Like that's probably like.
That's great.
That's great. Like if I die today, that's what my tombstone should look like. Just that picture.
So I never had heroes, but I met some people that were incredibly inspirational. In the Bay,
JT Habersack.
In the Bay Area, I met
that guy.
Who?
Do you know JT Habersack?
Never heard of him. Is he local?
No. He's out of Austin, Texas.
Does he work at Starbucks?
He's the one that put together the Altercation Comedy Festival.
Oh yeah. I've heard of him. I haven't met him.
Nicest guy, and the way he treats people in comics is very. Like you said, inspirational. Like you say, inspirational of people I met. That's the first name that pops in my mind.
So the first person I ever met that had like a huge impact on meeting him was Robin Williams. Actually,
You actually met Robin Williams.
when I started comedy. I started in San Francisco, and Robin, of course, is a San Francisco resident. He came up to me, and this is crazy. So I had this small show on Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco, and I had just started doing comedy maybe like 6 months or so, but I was making a name for myself locally, and people loved my show, and comics were talking about it and everything. It was a good place to get a good audience. I went up to Robin. I met him backstage at this event that happens in San Francisco, and I went up to introduce myself. I said, "Hi, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Brian King. I love your work." And he says, "Brian King, I've heard of you." And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He's like, "Hey, aren't you the one that runs that comedy show in the Wharf?" I'm like, "Whoa,
Man.
You know what I mean?" It's like,
how was his like when you walk in a room and you see Robin Williams? Like, what is it?
it lights
Dude.
up. Yeah, it lights up the room. Everybody is just smiling the minute they see him. Part of it is his celebrity because it's a big deal. Robin Williams here.
He always seemed like such a genuinely
he
nice
was,
guy.
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. He was so incredibly nice, So I met him on several occasions, and the first time I met him was when he said, "Oh, I've heard of you." And the second time I met him, I came up to him. I said, "Hey, you might not remember me. I'm Brian." He's like, "Oh yeah, Brian." Like he totally, you know what I mean?
Like, he's so like
this guy rubs shoulders with like the royalty in Hollywood.
Oh,
like,
man.
And not even just Hollywood.
not,
but
not
he's
even rubbed
friends-
shoulders. He transferred over. He
Yeah.
is Hollywood
Yeah.
royalty, man. Like,
I mean,
Mrs. Doubtfire, bro.
Yeah. Dude, he used to call Steven Spielberg and tell him and make him
Jumanji?
laugh. No, he used to make Steven Spielberg laugh over the phone while Spielberg was filming Schindler's List because he would get Spielberg would get all bummed out filming this horrible movie,
So
and
he
Robin
just-
would call him up to cheer him up. That's amazing,
Dude,
you know?
that's friendship right there.
Yeah, it really is. Robin was cool.
That was a hard loss.
I never met anybody who had a bad Robin story. So, but he was the first. Probably the biggest person I've ever met. You mentioned Hicks. I met Hicks.
Oh no!
I did.
Get out of here, man.
But
Really?
this is back when I was just like a fan. I wasn't even a comedian then, But I was. I lived in Austin. I went to college in Austin, and
He's just Alex Jones now.
he was. He was doing a show at what was called Capital City Comedy Club back then. I think they changed names.
The Cap City, right?
Yeah, I think they changed names. It's out in the suburbs. It's not like down the Velveeta Room downtown.
Yeah.
It's like. So I was in college. My girlfriend knew I was a Bill Hicks fan. She got me tickets to go to Bill Hicks. It was for my
Dude.
birthday, and we are right on the stage, front row on the stage. And he risked me during the audience. He made fun of my sweater, which my girlfriend made me wear. It was
She
just
set
like
you up. She planted
that
you.
was awesome. But this is the days before like everybody had a camera in their pocket. There's no digital photography and nothing. So like after the show, I met him, talked to him a little bit, and like that was the
That's
end of
it,
that.
man.
And no selfie, no Instagram. You know what I mean? Nothing.
Dude, you meet Hicks. Like if Hicks was around and you meet Hicks today. Oh,
yeah.
man.
Yeah. He's a legend. But so this is the cool thing about my Hicks story, right?
Okay.
So a few months later, so first of all, nobody knows he's got cancer. When he was doing these shows to record his albums because he knew he was dying. A few months later, Arizona Bay comes out and Rant and E Minor, like they were released
Like bam, bam,
at
bam.
the same time. And I'm reading the liner notes, and it says recorded Capital City Comedy Club in Austin, Texas. And I seem to recall, like I have this vague recollection of seeing signs up that says like we're recording an album tonight, And then I look at the dates in the liner notes, and then I look at my ticket stubs because I kept my ticket stubs. And
Of course
things
you
back
kept
then.
your. I kept my Tom Segura ticket stubs. They're right there, man.
Nice. Yeah, he's still alive.
Yeah. I'll have them then. I'll have
This
them.
boy. But then, so I look at my ticket stubs, and I was like, the dates kind of lined up, and I was like, oh man, I think I was at the recording of this freaking album, And so then I start scrutinizing the album. I'm listening to it, and I swear,
Waiting for.
There's a point in that recording where I can hear myself laughing because I was right near the stage, and I was just like, I'm on his album.
Dude, that's great.
which is amazing,
That's not necessarily a lucky break, but it's a badass break.
Yeah,
Like,
it's kind of cool.
Man, your life has been interesting, man.
I started doing stand-up comedy in San Francisco.
What brought you to do stand-up? Was it just
I always wanted to. I always wanted to, but I never knew how.
I didn't even know I wanted to. My friends told me
Yeah.
I wanted to.
No, I wanted to. I would tell people I wanted to be a comedian when I was in high school, but I had crappy role models around me. I ended up in a high school and a bunch of cowboys and I didn't really know. I didn't have anybody, and I dropped out of high school, and so I didn't know.
Imagine how big Get Her Done was in my high school.
Yeah.
I'm not bullshitting, dude. It was.
Get Her Done. That's I don't have a story about him, but he reminded me of Ron White.
Well,
Do you realize-
his sister Shay is the reason I was even able to start doing anything that I'm doing.
Oh yeah.
She had a radio show here. I had just started doing comedy. She wasn't doing a radio show anymore, but she had a Facebook page, and she was promoting comedy.
Wow.
I found out that Mo
We're talking
Alexander...
about Larry's sister, or we're talking about Ron White's?
Ron
sister?
White's.
Okay.
Yeah, Ron White's sister, Shay White. She had a show with Mo Alexander booked at No Dogs Allowed.
Mm-hmm.
I hit her up going, hey, do you guys need an opener? She was so hesitant to let me even... You know what I mean?
So Ron White opened for Bill Hicks that weekend.
So no way.
I'm dead serious.
Like, look
man.
how weird.
I know.
This is, and he's from Stinnett, like not too
So-
far from here.
So years later, right? So I don't remember Ron White. I don't remember who. You know what I mean? Like you don't remember the openers. You know.
You just saw his glass, and you're like, oh fuck.
He didn't have a glass.
I'm
He
just
didn't have
joking.
anything. No, I know. That's what I'm saying. I never recognized him. And one day, my girlfriend at the time was like, not my current one, but like one day I'm watching TV, or my girlfriend's like, hey, let's put on this comedy show, the Blue
collar, yeah.
Blue collar. I'm like, oh, this guy sucks. This guy sucks. This guy's corny. And then this guy
And then
comes
Ron,
out.
man.
Ron comes out and starts killing it.
He's what made that whole thing worth
Yeah,
watching.
and I'm just like, wow, this guy's really good. And then he tells the tater salad story, and in my head, I'm like, oh, I've heard this before. And he told that story opening up for Bill Hicks.
because we broke a chair over my thigh. Dude, that is bananas.
I was like, oh my god, he's. So first I'm like, wow, he told that story, and then I was like, wait a minute, he's still telling that story.
Yeah,
know?
that shows you how and I'm sure it was vastly different.
Yeah,
it
probably-
was
oh,
probably
absolutely.
insanely more detailed.
But the guy has bought mansions telling that story, and it's really like, and the funny thing about it is like,
his own brand of tequila.
you're a comedian, you break down jokes. Like as a comedian, I break down other people's jokes. The funny thing about that story is that it's not a story. Like he says that he told he gave a fake name, and then later on he got pulled over, and the cop said, "Are you tater salad?" That's not a story.
It's not a story.
You know?
It's a joke.
Yeah, but it's the details.
Yeah.
that he throws in there.
We were talking about this, me and Nakia, yesterday. We were talking about how it's really important to support local open mics and the fact that we need an audience whenever you're performing for just comics.
Oh yeah,
That shit
That's the worst.
sucks
It's the
because
worst.
they're breaking down your jokes. They only laugh at the big
We're
punchline
terrible.
if it's great.
If you go to Los Angeles, they don't even laugh. They're just too busy looking at their phones, reciting their own jokes. That's the thing. So,
I've done open mics over Periscope
Yeah.
in LA just
Have you
because
really?
because this one guy, I don't even remember his name. He had this thing that you could. So I think it cost me like $10 or it was like $5 a set or something like that. But he would put you up, man. Like, and you record. There's an audience in there, and then you're on a TV, and
Wow.
it was awful. It
Did
was
you-
fucking horrible. Because I held my microphone,
If
and
you
I was
think-
in, that was
let me just
I was
ask you
clearly
this.
in my living
if
room.
you think it was horrible for you, imagine the audience's perspective. That must have been.
The worst part was the delay. So
Yeah.
I hit my punchline. They're not laughing, and then I start telling my joke, and then they start laughing because my
that's
punchline
awful.
hit over there, and I was like, "Oh, dude, it was
so
the
you're
worst."
Like
I
talking over your own laugh.
I
Yeah.
did 3 of them.
So there's but the thing is that if there's a potential too for like once the host hangs up with you, and then he's just like, look at these idiots in Texas. You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
yeah, for sure. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? And it was the worst.
Anybody in Texas, they think this is funny. You know.
Well, then they
Yeah.
would like I found it originally because I was watching them. You know what I mean? Like they had the people in the crowd were also comics, and they were going up that night.
Gotcha. But yeah, no. Los Angeles is a weird scene, man. It really. I lived there for a few years, but I never really broke into that scene because I was always touring.
Did you ever go to the Comedy Store?
Yeah, I used to live right across the street from it.
That's my, like, if you ask me
You
dream
know,
spot, where you going tonight?
you know,
I'm
see,
going to
that's-
go check it out.
And that's how I was. And then I got there and I realized, no, that's not how it is.
I just want to
you
shake
know?
hands with Theo Von. I want to meet
Yeah,
Joe Rogan,
yeah,
if possible.
So that there are big names that hang out at the Comedy Store, and you will get once you move to LA or even express an interest in playing LA, you're going to get preyed upon by these crappy bringer show bookers who are like, oh, you're coming to L.A., you want to play the Comedy Store? You know, how many people can you bring? You know, like
Oh yeah,
you know?
dude. Some guy here in Amarillo, Texas, told me that I could only perform at his venue on a Wednesday to make sure comedy would work.
Yeah.
And I had to do a guarantee 30 and 30.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to work in Amarillo for 30 days before or after the
Oh,
show.
That's terrible.
I told
Yeah.
him, "Fuck you! I'm trying to book across
Yeah,
the street."
you're trying to make a living, and you're trying, and even if you're not trying to make a living, you're trying to practice your art. Nobody gets good unless they do like 4 or 5 sets a night. If
And
you
that's
know,
the thing. We don't have that. We have
Yeah.
we have 4 open mics a month.
but
And
you
I
do every
me
single
and
one
Matt
of those.
host 2 of them.
Yeah, you do every single one of those, man, because you will not get good without practice, and you can't practice unless if you tell somebody that you're not going to perform like for 30 days. That's ridiculous, you know.
Yeah, and it started off on just 6th Street, which is Route 66, and then
Mm-hmm.
by the end of the conversation, it was the entire city of Amarillo, and I was like,
Uh-huh.
yeah, bro, like, I'm gonna have to pass, like, and he wanted me to do it for free on the first night to prove that I could bring a crowd,
Yeah, no, so you're
and
going
he
to
kept
get
saying, you want to do
So
well
you're
at my
gonna-
venue, you want to do well at my venue,
so
I'm
you're going to
like,
get
you hit-
all of your friends and fans and other people that support you to go pay money to see you so that you can just work for free. You might as well have them all come to your house.
yeah,
you
and
know?
I've thought about that. I want to get
Yeah.
a PA and just start doing house shows.
Yeah, it really is.
I'll host a weekly open mic in my backyard.
I used to book a room in California, and you know, I had my comedians come in, and I wasn't paying them because I wasn't making any money to be able to pay them, you
Right.
know? But I offered them a really great opportunity to perform in front of a good audience. You know, I didn't have a bringer requirement, but I did ask you. I encouraged them to, like, please just try to bring, you know, get the word out. You know, like, have people show up. It'll help the show. It'll help the audience. And yet, so I had comedians who would book my show, and then they would book the pro comedy show like down the block, you know. And the pro comedy club is, you know, basically saying, hey, you have to sell so many tickets in order to get in order to play, and you know, if you don't, so if your friends don't show up for you, then you can't perform, blah blah blah.
What
so
if-
all their friends go to the club that doesn't need the assistance. you
Yeah.
know?
So what about like the Comedy Store? Is there like a drink minimum? They have stuff
Oh.
like that. Like,
So let me just
we don't
say-
have anything like that in Amarillo.
No, you wouldn't, because otherwise nobody would go.
Yeah.
So the Comedy Store, I haven't been there in a while, but it's common. 2 drink minimums are common, and that makes sense.
Was that
because-
just come with ticket price?
No, you have to order the drinks.
So how do they guarantee that you get the drinks?
The waiters enforce it. You know?
Yeah.
But see, the reason there's a good reason for that though, is because when you're paying attention to comedy, you're not getting up and going to the bar. You know, you're not.
Yeah.
And a comedy club is a business, and it has to make money. And if they're not selling drinks, they're not making money. You know, so the cover doesn't pay for the electricity. You know, it
Right.
doesn't-
I fully understand
doesn't
that.
pay for the rent on Sunset Boulevard. So you have to buy drinks. You know. Now, and I don't mind that. That's not an issue. The problem that I have is what I was getting at with you, is that when you won't be booked by the club, you'll be booked by with these contractors. You know, it's like I could go to that club and say, hey, I produce shows, and if you have an open slot in your schedule, I could fill that with an audience every week. They don't care how it gets filled, as long as it gets filled.
Yeah.
Right? And so I'll put an ad on Craigslist. I'll say, "Are you a comedian? Want to try comedy? Can you bring 5 people to come see you?" You know, and there's a lot of that, you know, in Los
Dang.
Angeles. You know, so I never really broke into the LA scene, but I was always on the road. I was making a lot of money traveling and doing gigs as a speaker and so forth. And then eventually I just left LA. And I've been effectively homeless now for about maybe 5 years. Homeless, but
That's got to be hard, man.
it sometimes it is. Most of the time, most of it I've been booked, steady booked. But you know, like I said, recently I had some tours cancel on me, and those tours not only are money, but they're also places to live
and
you know?
practice
Yeah.
and
so
just enjoyment
Right.
all around.
Like, for example, Route 66. I mean, half of those gigs came with a free hotel room, you know? And
Yeah.
so I get paid, I get a free hotel room, as opposed to now I'm traveling at my own expense. And,
And
you know,
not working, not
Yeah.
making any money. But people are gonna buy your book, and then tell them
I
again
know.
where they can buy that at, other than Amazon.
Amazon.
Where's your website?
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, drbrianking.com. Hit me up actually on my website or Facebook, Dr. Brian King. I will autograph it. I will write whatever. I will, if you want me to rub one out on it, really.
How'd you know what I wanted for my
Yeah,
book?
Really personalize it, Now, I don't think I'll do that unless you pay like a lot extra, because this DNA, that could be used for something,
Yeah.
But. And the book is called The Laughing Cure, and if you're listening, you should buy it. It is a really good book. It's been well received. When I was writing it, I reached out to my friends who are a little bit more famous than me, and I interviewed some people. I interviewed Yakov Smirnoff, who's in the book, Gabriel Iglesias. I reached out to a bunch of people who said yes, and then they never followed through. And
It
that's
tends to happen.
that's annoying to me. But the people who made it, Ellen DeGeneres,
Oh wow,
yeah, her brother.
I love that. That was such a good setup. God damn it, you had me hooked on that one, bro.
Yeah, like I got Ellen's number.
I played a clip from Ellen on like 2 podcasts ago, dude.
Oh, yeah?
That chick, she
Nice.
cracks me up.
She's amazing. I'm not into daytime TV, but I know she's killing it. She's amazing.
I typically watch the clips,
Yeah. But her brother, I did a gig with him once. I don't know if you're familiar with Vance DeGeneres' work.
I'm not.
He was one of the original correspondents on The Daily Show with Jon
Oh, wow.
when Jon Stewart took over, and so
I used to watch that every night as a kid growing up.
he was like one of those guys, and he performs comedy, has a band. I did this weird gig with him at the House of Blues where I opened doing comedy for his band.
Interesting.
Yeah, like he didn't do comedy.
I don't
He
like
was-
following a band, but I don't mind opening up for a band.
Well, I would intro them, so I would do like I would do some material and then bring it into them. So he has this band. I forget the band's name, but the band consists of like 5 or 6 people, and he's in it. And then one of the guys, I forget his name, full name, but his first name's Eddie, and he's in Ocean's 11.
Van
Ocean's,
Halen.
No. They got this zombie they just roll in. But they, no, that was Iron Maiden. The zombie. Damn. I'm looking around. You pretty much have like the poster equivalent of that stuff around here. But they, so Eddie from Ocean's 11 and 12, and I think he was in,
That's crazy.
So he's in the band, and Vance is in the band, and like 2 famous people in the band, and the people, they're a good band, But I'm
Play
just,
nothing but covers by Nickelback. They
Yeah.
kill it. They crush.
Yeah, it's like it's all acoustic. Yeah. No, and I'm making fun of their careers. I'm like, because I'm like this nobody.
Yeah, these guys are successful.
Yeah,
It's
like
a-
Vance has his sister is Ellen. He doesn't have to do a damn thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
he knows 13 from House, people. He knows her.
And Eddie, of course, he hangs with George Clooney. I'm assuming because they did a movie together.
They definitely text sometimes.
That's right.
Happy Thanksgiving,
He's
bro.
like, he at least gets a card,
Yeah.
or a Facebook post.
I'm still better than you. All right, George, I get it.
Yeah, Clooney. But no, man. I'm opening for these guys, and all I could do the entire time was just riff on their film careers and their movies and stuff. It's like, I knew nothing about their music, but I still did a great job, and I was asked to come back to the gig, so something happened. And Vance is in my book, so that's it.
Man, I'm definitely gonna have to pick up a copy of that book. That sounds awesome. Like
It's-
just the concept behind it is amazing.
It's The Laughing Cure, and I have a whole car full of them because I was planning on selling them on the store. so literally, if
You
you're
just
listening,
text me, I'll come to you.
If you're listening and you want a book, man, I'll hand deliver it.
Well, right on, man. Well, we're hitting a little over an hour, dude.
All right.
I
We
know
gotta
you're
wrap
tired, man. It's like almost 11.
I got to get back to my hotel.
Right on. Well, I hope your kiddo gets feeling better and everything, man. One more time, if you want to plug anything, Instagram.
Please check out my Facebook, Dr. Brian King. Add me as a friend. If you don't want, you can follow me, Dr. Brian King Comedy too. Check me out on Instagram, YouTube. Everything is all Dr. Brian King. I have a new web series that we just released, episode 26 this morning. It's called Sarah and Brian. And the reason why it's called Sarah and Brian is because I'm usually the one behind the camera, and Sarah, my partner, is always being filmed. But it's like a
You also have a vlog.
yeah. It's kind of a vlog. I don't like calling it a vlog because I hate that word.
I can totally dig it.
but
I'll
Sarah-
edit it out. It'll just be a beat.
There you
I'm
go.
just kidding.
No, Sarah and Brian is kind of it's more like a web series where like episodes of our life on the road. You know.
Yeah.
Now it is kind of vloggy, but it's not. I don't know.
I always find stuff like that really interesting because,
Yeah.
I mean, it's out of the norm of your normal life. That's what I enjoy watching.
Yeah. Like vlogs to me are just like, hey, I did this and I did that.
I bet you it's better than Big Bang Theory. So,
It's way funnier.
and where can we find that at? Is that on YouTube?
I posted on YouTube. I also posted to my Facebook pages that I mentioned earlier. So,
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, I really appreciate you coming
Oh, man,
out, man.
Thank you. I appreciate you having me.
I'll let you get back to the hotel and grab some sleep before you have to roll out, man. We'll keep in
No,
touch.
We got an indoor heated pool. We're gonna try to use that in the morning.
Hell yeah. Well, I'll wake up earlier than I thought. I'm just kidding.
There you go.
All right, man. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to go check out this guy's book, his YouTube channel, everything like that. Man, I'm Skyler.
And this is Dr. Brian King.
You guys have a good one, junkies.